The rain was coming down hard that Tuesday evening when everything changed. Lisa was driving home from another long day at her marketing job, her mind racing with thoughts about deadlines and client meetings. She had just broken up with her boyfriend of 3 years the week before, and the stress was eating at her. The windshield wipers were working overtime, but they couldn't keep up with the heavy downpour. She never saw the truck running the red light. The impact sent her small car spinning across the intersection. Glass shattered everywhere, and the world went quiet except for the sound of twisted metal settling. When Lisa finally opened her eyes, she was staring at bright hospital lights with a doctor asking her questions. She couldn't quite understand. Her left leg was broken in 2 places. 3 ribs were cracked. Her shoulder was dislocated. But the worst part wasn't what they could see on the x-rays. It was the fear that had settled deep in her chest, making it hard to breathe even when her lungs were working fine. The first few days in the hospital were a blur of pain medication and worried visits from her sister Jenny. Lisa couldn't sleep properly. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw headlights coming toward her. Every sudden sound made her jump. The doctors said this was normal after a trauma, but nothing about it felt normal to Lisa. After a week, they moved her to the rehabilitation center across town. The place smelled like disinfectant and had motivational posters on every wall. Lisa hated it immediately. She didn't want to be motivated. She just wanted to go back to her old life, the one where she didn't flinch every time someone walked too fast past her room. That's when she met him. Alex was different from the other therapists who had been working with her. He was quiet, thoughtful, and never rushed her through exercises. Where others would push her to do more, Alex seemed to understand that some days just getting out of bed was enough. He was in his mid-30s, with kind eyes and a gentle way of speaking that made Lisa feel less anxious. During their first session, Alex didn't make her do any exercises at all. Instead, he sat down and asked her about the accident. Not the medical details that everyone else wanted to know, but how she was really feeling about it. Lisa found herself talking more than she had in weeks. She told him about the nightmares, about how she couldn't stand the sound of rain anymore, about how she felt like a different person now. Alex listened without trying to fix everything or tell her it would get better soon. He just listened. And that meant more to Lisa than any physical therapy exercise could. As the days went by, Lisa began to look forward to her sessions with Alex. He helped her work on getting her strength back, but he also helped her work through the fear that seemed to live in her bones now. He told her about breathing exercises that helped when the panic started. He showed her how to notice when her body was getting tense before the anxiety took over completely. What Lisa didn't know was that Alex was fighting his own battles. His mother had passed away from cancer just 6 months earlier, and he had been questioning everything about his life since then. He had chosen to become a physical therapist because he wanted to help people, but lately, he had been feeling like he wasn't making any real difference. His patients would get better and leave, and he would start over with someone new. Never knowing if his work really mattered. Working with Lisa was different. He could see that she needed more than just physical healing. She needed someone to understand that the accident had changed her in ways that went deeper than broken bones. Alex found himself staying later with her, talking through her fears, helping her process what had happened to her. For the first time in months, Alex felt like his work had real meaning. Lisa wasn't just another patient to him. She was a person who had been through something terrible and was trying to find her way back to feeling safe in the world again. And somehow, helping her do that was helping him find his own sense of purpose again. Lisa began to notice that the anxiety that usually kept her awake at night was quieter when Alex was around. During their sessions, she felt calmer, more like herself. She started to realize that Alex wasn't just helping her body heal. He was helping her remember who she was before the accident, while also helping her figure out who she might become after it. The connection between them grew stronger each day, though neither of them said anything about it. Alex would find excuses to check on Lisa between her scheduled sessions. Lisa would save up stories and thoughts to share with him. They both began to look forward to their time together in a way that went beyond the professional relationship they were supposed to have. One evening, after a particularly difficult day where Lisa had a panic attack during a routine exercise, Alex stayed late to help her work through it. As her breathing returned to normal and her heart rate slowed down, Lisa looked at him and realized something that scared her almost as much as the accident had. She was starting to need him in a way that had nothing to do with physical therapy. Alex saw something change in her expression that night, and he felt it too. The careful professional distance he had been maintaining was starting to disappear. He cared about Lisa in a way that went far beyond what was appropriate for a therapist and patient. But he also saw how much she was depending on him, and he wasn't sure if that was healthy for either of them. As Lisa's physical injuries began to heal, it became clear that her emotional healing was just beginning, and both she and Alex were starting to realize that their connection might be an important part of that healing process, even if they didn't yet understand what that might mean for both of their lives. 3 weeks later, Lisa was finally ready to go home. Her leg was healing well, and she could walk with just a cane now. The doctors said she was making excellent progress. But Lisa didn't feel excellent. She felt terrified. The rehabilitation center had become her safe place. She knew every nurse, every routine, every sound. Going back to her apartment meant facing the real world again. And she wasn't sure she was ready for that. Most of all, it meant not seeing Alex every day. On her last day at the center, Alex helped her pack her things. He had been quieter than usual, and Lisa could tell something was bothering him. When she asked about it, he just said he would miss working with her. But there was something else in his eyes. Something he wasn't saying. "I'm scared," Lisa admitted as they walked slowly toward the exit. "What if I can't handle being alone? What if the nightmares get worse?" Alex stopped walking and turned to face her. "You're stronger than you think," he said gently. "But you don't have to do this alone. I can arrange for home visits to continue your therapy." Lisa felt a wave of relief wash over her. She hadn't realized how much she had been dreading not seeing Alex anymore. "Would you do that?" she asked. "Of course," Alex said. "It's part of the recovery process. Some patients need extra support during the transition." That evening, Lisa sat in her apartment for the first time in over a month. Everything looked the same, but she felt like a completely different person. The couch where she used to watch TV now seemed too close to the window. The bedroom felt too dark. Even simple things like making coffee seemed overwhelming. When night came, the problems really started. Lisa lay in bed listening to every sound in the building. A door closing down the hall made her heart race. A car starting outside made her break out in a cold sweat. By midnight, she was sitting on her living room floor, hugging her knees and trying to remember the breathing exercises Alex had taught her. She almost called him 3 times, but stopped herself each time. He had given her his number for emergencies. But was this really an emergency? She didn't want to seem weak or too dependent. The next morning, Alex arrived for their first home session. He took one look at Lisa and could tell she hadn't slept. Her eyes were red, and she looked exhausted. "Rough night?" he asked. Setting down his therapy bag, Lisa nodded, feeling embarrassed. "I couldn't sleep. Every little sound made me panic. I felt so stupid." "You're not stupid," Alex said firmly. "You went through something traumatic. Your brain is still trying to protect you from danger. Even when you're safe, it's completely normal." They spent the morning doing gentle exercises to help Lisa regain more strength in her leg. But Alex could see that her physical healing was ahead of her emotional healing. She was jumpy, distracted, and kept looking toward the windows as if expecting something bad to happen. As he was getting ready to leave, Lisa grabbed his arm. "Alex, I know this might sound crazy, but could you stay a little longer? I feel calmer when you're here." Alex looked at her tired face and made a decision that would change everything. "Sure," he said. "We can talk through some more coping strategies." He stayed for 2 hours, just talking with Lisa about her fears and helping her practice relaxation techniques. When he finally left, Lisa felt better than she had since coming home. This became their new routine. Alex would come for official therapy sessions 3 times a week. But he would also stay extra time to help Lisa work through her anxiety. He told himself it was all part of her recovery, but deep down, he knew it was more than that. Lisa began to structure her entire day around Alex's visits. She would feel anxious and restless until he arrived, then calm and hopeful while he was there, then gradually more anxious again. After he left, she started timing her meals, her showers, even her phone calls around his schedule. Alex noticed this too, and it worried him, but it also made him feel needed in a way he had never experienced before. At his job, he saw patients for a set amount of time, did his exercises with them, and sent them on their way. With Lisa, he felt like he was making a real difference in someone's life every single day. The turning point came on a Thursday evening. Alex had finished Lisa's session and was about to leave when a thunderstorm started. The sound of rain hitting the windows made Lisa freeze in terror. Her breathing became rapid and shallow, and she started shaking. "It's okay," Alex said, immediately sitting down beside her. "You're safe. It's just rain." But Lisa was lost in the memory of that night when everything changed. She could hear the sound of the windshield wipers, feel the steering wheel in her hands, see the headlights coming toward her. Alex didn't hesitate. He pulled Lisa into a gentle hug, letting her shake against his shoulder while he spoke softly to her. "You're not in the car," he whispered. "You're here with me. You're safe." It took almost an hour for Lisa to calm down completely. When she finally stopped shaking, she looked up at Alex with tears in her eyes. "I don't know what I would do without you," she said. "I need you, Alex. I really need you." Alex felt his heart skip a beat. He knew they were crossing into dangerous territory, but he also knew he couldn't abandon Lisa when she needed him most. "I need you too," he admitted quietly. From that night forward, their relationship became something neither of them had planned. Alex started staying later and later, sometimes until Lisa fell asleep. He would sit in the chair beside her bed, reading or just watching over her, making sure she felt safe enough to rest. Lisa's dependency on Alex grew strong every day. She couldn't imagine sleeping without knowing he was nearby. She couldn't face her fears without his reassurance. And Alex found himself becoming more and more invested in being the person Lisa needed him to be. Neither of them questioned whether this was healthy. They only knew that when they were together, Lisa felt safe and Alex felt valuable. But they were both about to discover that needing someone this much could be both a blessing and a dangerous thing. 2 months had passed since Lisa left the rehabilitation center, and her relationship with Alex had evolved into something neither of them had expected. What started as professional therapy sessions had become something much deeper and more complicated. Alex now visited Lisa almost every day. He told his supervisor that she needed extended care due to her trauma, which wasn't entirely untrue. But the real truth was that both of them had become dependent on these daily visits, in ways that went far beyond any medical need. Lisa's day revolved completely around Alex's arrival. She would wake up counting the hours until he came. She planned her meals around his schedule, saved interesting stories to tell him, and felt genuinely lost on the rare days when he couldn't make it. Her apartment had become a sanctuary, but only when Alex was there to share it with her. Alex, meanwhile, had discovered something about himself that surprised him. For years, he had felt like he was just going through the motions at work. He helped people get better, they left, and he moved on to the next patient. But with Lisa, he felt truly needed. She didn't just want his professional help. She needed him as a person. That feeling was becoming addictive. The change in their relationship became obvious to both of them on a quiet Sunday afternoon. Alex had come over to help Lisa with some exercises, but they had ended up just talking for hours. They were sitting on her couch, closer than they usually sat, when Lisa suddenly started crying. "I'm broken," she whispered. "I can't sleep without you nearby. I can't handle being alone. I can't even go to the grocery store without having a panic attack. What kind of person am I becoming?" Alex moved closer and gently wiped away her tears. "You're not broken," he said softly. "You're healing." Sometimes healing looks messy and complicated, But I'm so dependent on you, Lisa said. That's not normal, is it? Alex was quiet for a moment. He knew she was right, but he also knew that he had become just as dependent on her. Maybe normal isn't what matters, he said finally. Maybe what matters is that we're helping each other. Lisa looked up at him, and something shifted in the air between them. Alex had always been careful to maintain appropriate boundaries, but in that moment, those boundaries seemed artificial and unnecessary. Here was someone who truly needed him, and he was someone who had found purpose in being needed. Alex, Lisa said quietly, I think I'm falling in love with you. Alex felt his heart stop. He had been trying not to admit the same thing to himself for weeks. Lisa, he said, I think I fell in love with you a long time ago. The kiss that followed was gentle and tentative, like they were both afraid of breaking something precious when they separated. Both of them were crying. This is crazy, Lisa said, laughing through her tears. I'm your patient. No, Alex said. You're much more than that. You're the person who made me remember why I wanted to help people in the first place. You're the person who makes me feel like I matter. From that day forward, their relationship became something entirely new. Alex would arrive in the morning as Lisa's therapist, helping her with exercises and techniques for managing her anxiety. But he would stay through the afternoon and evening as something much more personal and intimate. Lisa's healing took on a different quality. Instead of just trying to get back to who she was before the accident, she began to discover who she could become with Alex by her side. Her panic attacks became less frequent, but her need for Alex's presence became stronger. She felt safe with him in a way she had never felt safe with anyone. Alex found himself changing too. He had always been a careful, methodical person who followed rules and maintained professional distance. But with Lisa, he was learning to trust his instincts and his heart. He was learning that sometimes the most healing thing you can offer someone is not your professional expertise, but your genuine care and presence. They established routines that revolved around Lisa's needs and fears. Alex would arrive early in the morning and help Lisa start her day. He would stay through her difficult evening hours, helping her process the day's anxieties and fears. Most importantly, he would stay until she fell asleep, sometimes reading to her or just sitting quietly nearby. Lisa's sister Jenny was the first person to notice the change. During one of her weekly visits, she pulled Lisa aside. There's something different about you, Jenny said. You seem calmer, but also more. I don't know how to describe it. More intense somehow. Lisa knew exactly what Jenny meant. Her relationship with Alex had brought her a kind of peace she had never experienced, but it had also made her more aware of how much she needed that peace. The thought of losing Alex terrified her more than the accident had. I'm in love, Lisa admitted to her sister. With Alex, my therapist. Jenny's face showed concern. Lisa, honey, are you sure that's healthy? I mean, you went through something traumatic. Sometimes people develop feelings for the people who help them through difficult times. It's not like that, Lisa said, though privately she wondered if Jenny might be right. Alex loves me too. He needs me as much as I need him, and that was true. Alex had discovered that Lisa's need for him had awakened something in him that he didn't want to lose. He had always been someone who helped others, but he had never been someone who was truly essential to another person's well-being. With Lisa, he felt not just helpful, but necessary. Their physical relationship developed naturally from their emotional connection. Alex would hold Lisa when she had nightmares, comfort her when anxiety overwhelmed her, and celebrate with her when she made progress. The line between comfort and intimacy blurred gradually until it disappeared entirely. But even as their relationship deepened, both Lisa and Alex began to wonder if they were helping each other heal or if they were creating a new kind of dependence that might be just as limiting as Lisa's original trauma. The question neither of them wanted to ask was whether Lisa needed Alex to survive, or whether she had simply replaced one fear with another kind of need that felt safer but might not be healthier. 6 months after the accident, Lisa and Alex had created a life together that revolved entirely around her needs, and their connection What had started as therapy sessions had become something much deeper and more consuming. Lisa's apartment had transformed into their private world where the outside seemed to matter less and less each day. Alex had quietly reduced his other patient load, telling his supervisor that Lisa required intensive, ongoing care. It wasn't entirely a lie. Lisa did need him, but not in the way his supervisor imagined. She needed him in every aspect of her daily life, from the moment she woke up until she fell asleep each night. Their morning routine had become sacred. Alex would arrive at 7 in the morning with coffee and breakfast. He would help Lisa start her day, not because she couldn't do it herself anymore, but because doing it together had become essential to both of them. Lisa would tell him about her dreams, her fears from the night before, and her hopes for the day ahead. Alex would listen, really listen, in a way that made Lisa feel like the most important person in the world. During the day, Alex would work with Lisa on her physical therapy, but these sessions had evolved into something more intimate and personal. They would talk through her trauma, help her process difficult emotions, and celebrate small victories together. Alex had become not just her therapist, but her confidant, her protector, and her closest friend. But it was the evenings that showed just how deep their connection had become. As the sun set, Lisa's anxiety would typically increase. The approaching darkness would remind her of that terrible night when everything changed. Alex had learned to recognize the signs, the way Lisa's breathing would change, how she would start looking toward the windows, the tension that would build in her shoulders. Without being asked, Alex would begin their evening ritual. He would dim the lights, put on soft music, and create an environment where Lisa felt completely safe. They would sit together on the couch, Lisa curled up against Alex's side, and they would talk about everything and nothing. Alex would tell her stories from his childhood, his dreams for the future, his thoughts about life and love. Lisa would share her deepest fears, her gratitude for surviving the accident, and her amazement at finding love in such an unexpected place. These conversations had become essential to both of them. Lisa needed to process her thoughts and feelings with someone who truly understood her. Alex needed to feel like he was the person who could provide that understanding and support. They had created a bubble of intimacy that shut out the rest of the world. The physical aspect of their relationship had developed naturally from their emotional connection. Alex would hold Lisa when she had nightmares, his presence the only thing that could calm her racing heart. He would massage her shoulders when the tension became too much, his touch both healing and comforting. When Lisa had panic attacks, Alex would breathe with her, his steady presence anchoring her to the present moment. Their intimate moments weren't just about physical closeness. They were about complete emotional vulnerability and trust. Lisa had never felt so seen and accepted by another person. Alex had never felt so needed and valued. Together, they had created a relationship that felt like the safest place in the world. Lisa's sister Jenny had started visiting less frequently, worried about what she saw as an unhealthy dependence. "You never leave the apartment anymore," she told Lisa during one of their conversations. "You don't see other friends. Your whole world is Alex." "Alex is my world," Lisa replied without hesitation. "He's the person who helped me survive the worst thing that ever happened to me. He's the person who makes me feel safe and loved every single day." "But what happens if something happens to Alex?" Jenny asked gently. "What if he gets sick, or has to travel, or just needs some space?" Lisa's face went pale at the thought. She had never considered what would happen if Alex wasn't there. The idea was so terrifying that she pushed it away immediately. Alex was dealing with his own questions about their relationship. His friends had started commenting on how he was never available anymore. His supervisor had asked about his reduced patient load. His own family barely saw him these days. But when Alex considered changing anything about his life with Lisa, he felt a panic similar to what Lisa experienced. She needed him completely, and he had come to need that need. Being essential to Lisa's well-being had given Alex a sense of purpose and value that he had never experienced before. One evening, as they sat together in their usual spot on the couch, Lisa turned to Alex with tears in her eyes. I know this might sound crazy, she said, but I feel like I wouldn't survive without you. Not just emotionally, but actually survive. You've become as necessary to me as breathing. Alex pulled her closer, his heart racing with both love and concern. I feel the same way. He admitted, I can't imagine my life without taking care of you, without being the person you need me to be. They held each other in silence, both recognizing that their love had become something powerful and consuming. Lisa had found safety and healing in Alex's complete devotion to her needs. Alex had found purpose and meaning in being absolutely essential to someone else's happiness. But neither of them was ready to ask whether they're beautiful. Intense connection was helping them grow as individuals, or whether it was creating a new kind of prison that felt like paradise. Their relationship had become a world of two, where Lisa's needs and Alex's desire to meet those needs had become the center of everything. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, and neither of them knew how to exist any other way. A year and a half after the accident, Lisa and Alex faced a moment that would change everything. Lisa's company had called, asking if she was ready to return to work. Her medical leave was ending, and they needed to know if she planned to come back or if they should fill her position permanently. Lisa stared at the phone for a long time after hanging up. The idea of going back to her old job, of leaving the safety of her apartment and her life with Alex, felt impossible. But for the first time in months, she also felt a tiny spark of curiosity about who she might be in the outside world. When Alex arrived that morning, Lisa was sitting at her kitchen table with a cup of coffee, looking more serious than he had seen her in weeks. They want me to come back to work, she said without any greeting. Alex felt his stomach drop. He had known this day would come eventually, but he had been hoping it would be much later. What did you tell them? He asked, sitting down across from her. I told them I needed to think about it, Lisa said. But Alex, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can be away from you for 8 hours a day. I don't know if I can handle being around other people, dealing with stress, making decisions on my own. Alex reached across the table and took her hand. You're stronger than you think, he said, though privately he was wondering the same things. How would he handle not being needed by Lisa for 8 hours a day? How would he fill the time that had become completely devoted to her care and comfort? Over the next few days, they tried to imagine what it would be like for Lisa to return to work. Alex would drive her to the office building and they would sit in the car, looking up at the windows where Lisa used to spend her days. Lisa would feel her heart racing just thinking about walking through those doors, without Alex beside her. Maybe I'm not ready, Lisa said during one of these visits. Maybe I need more time. But Alex was starting to see something that worried him. Lisa had healed tremendously from her physical injuries. She was walking normally now. Her ribs had healed completely, and her shoulder was strong again. Her panic attacks were much less frequent, and she had learned to manage her anxiety in many situations, but only when he was there with her. The realization that disturbed Alex most was that Lisa might actually be ready to take steps back into the world. But their relationship had become so intense and all-consuming that neither of them knew how to exist independently anymore. This thought scared Alex more than he wanted to admit. He had devoted himself so completely to being what Lisa needed that he had lost touch with who he was as an individual. His own friends, his own interests, his own goals had all faded into the background. His entire identity had become wrapped up in being Lisa's protector and caregiver. The turning point came when Lisa's sister Jenny staged what she called an intervention. She arrived at Lisa's apartment with Dr. Rodriguez, a therapist who specialized in trauma recovery and relationship dynamics. I'm worried about both of you, Jenny said. Looking back and forth between Lisa and Alex, Lisa, you've made incredible progress, but you've also isolated yourself completely. And Alex, you've given up your entire life to take care of my sister. Dr. Rodriguez was gentle but direct. What you two have created is beautiful in many ways, she said. The care, the devotion, the healing that has happened here is real. But I'm concerned that you've created a dynamic where Lisa's recovery depends entirely on Alex's presence, and Alex's sense of worth depends entirely on Lisa's need for him. Lisa felt defensive immediately. "Alex saved my life," she said. "He's the reason I'm okay now." "I don't doubt that," Dr. Rodriguez replied. "But the question is whether you're truly okay, or whether you've simply transferred your fear of the outside world into a need for one person to make you feel safe." Alex felt like he had been punched in the stomach. "Are you saying our relationship isn't healthy?" "I'm saying that healthy relationships involve two people who choose to be together, not to people who feel like they can't survive without each other," Dr. Rodriguez explained. "There's a difference between love and dependence, between caring for someone and losing yourself in their needs." Over the following weeks, Lisa and Alex began couples therapy with Dr. Rodriguez. The sessions were difficult and sometimes painful. They had to examine whether their intense connection was helping them both grow, or whether it was keeping them both trapped in a beautiful but limiting bubble. Dr. Rodriguez helped them understand that Lisa's healing had been real and significant, but it had happened in a very controlled environment. She had learned to feel safe with Alex, but she hadn't learned to feel safe in the world. Alex had found purpose in caring for Lisa, but he had stopped growing as an individual. The work was hard. Lisa had to practice being alone for short periods, dealing with anxiety without immediately turning to Alex for comfort. Alex had to reconnect with his own interests and relationships that had been neglected for over a year. There were setbacks. Lisa had several panic attacks when Alex wasn't immediately available. Alex felt lost and purposeless when he wasn't focused on Lisa's needs, but gradually, they began to find a new balance. Lisa started taking small steps back into the world. She began with short trips to the grocery store alone, then coffee dates with friends she hadn't seen in months. Eventually, she decided to try returning to work part-time. Alex started seeing his own therapist to work through his tendency to lose himself in other people's needs. He reconnected with friends, pursued hobbies he had abandoned, and began to rebuild his identity as an individual. 6 months later, Lisa and Alex had created a new kind of relationship. Lisa had returned to work and was thriving in ways that surprised her. She had learned that she could handle stress, make decisions, and navigate the world independently. But she had also learned that her love for Alex was real and strong, not just based on fear and need. Alex had found a healthier balance in his work and personal life. He still cared for Lisa deeply, but he had learned to support her without losing himself. He had discovered that he could be valuable and needed without giving up his entire identity. Their relationship had transformed from desperate dependence into conscious choice. Lisa no longer needed Alex to survive, but she chose to build a life with him because she loved him. Alex no longer needed to be needed in order to feel worthwhile, but he chose to care for Lisa because that's what love looked like to him. They had learned that real love wasn't about one person saving another, but about two people choosing to grow together while remaining whole individually. Their story had become one of healing, not just from trauma, but from the patterns of dependence that trauma had created. Lisa still had difficult days, and Alex still struggled with his desire to fix everything for her. But they had learned to face these challenges together while maintaining their individual strength and identity. In the end, they had discovered that the most beautiful kind of love wasn't one where someone needs you to survive, but one where someone chooses you even when they don't need you at all.